Hello, and welcome to Generally Up, a channel where I will be posting videos showcasing me being moderately okay at Minecraft, mediocre at gaming, absolutely atrocious at anything first person. I might toss in some of my adventures in photography as well. This channel is going to be threefold for me. A, I want a place to share and explore my passion for playing video games, mostly Minecraft though, obviously, as that is where we are. Two, I need a creative outlet for all the shenanigans I have in my various other hobbies. I want to share those shenanigans and how they affect my Minecraft playstyle with all of you. Lastly, I absolutely love to learn new things. I have decided that I want to take a stab at content creation. I really have no idea what I'm doing, which honestly is extremely exciting to me. And I'm excited to share that journey with you. If there's one of you, if there's a million of you, whatever it ends up being, I'm excited, and I hope you are too. This is a little intro into why I'm starting this channel. Let's go ahead and dive a little deeper into who I am and how that will influence the channel that I am going to be creating here. I live in rural southern Colorado in a relatively small town. There are some larger towns in the area. I live in the population center, which is about 8,000 people. But the population density of the region I live in is a little bit closer to that of Wyoming, a little bit less than Wyoming actually, which is famous for having more cows than people. There's probably also more cows than walruses, though I haven't checked that stat. So yeah, it's pretty rural. For another perspective, the nearest Chick-fil-A to me is about 120 miles and 2 hours by car, which ultimately doesn't affect me as I'm vegetarian. It's not that I don't eat meat, I can't eat meat. That'll be a story for another time though. I choose to live in the rural community I'm in a large part due to the access I have for outdoor adventuring. I do a ton of hiking, I do a ton of cycling, rock climbing. I've even started running recently to increase my fitness for my winter and spring activities. The big thing there being I love spending time in the cold. I do all of my major exploring in the winter um, because I love to suffer, which is probably why I'm enjoying running. I do a lot of ice climbing and ski mountaineering, especially when spring comes around. As a result, I also have a lot of downtime to help my body recover, and I get easily bored and I need something to entertain my mind. So here we are. I'm going to take a stab at this and see where it goes. I've been a big fan of Minecraft for a long time. I started playing Minecraft in alpha. Um, I think it was me and my brother were using our dad's computer when we first started, and we had to borrow it when he wasn't working. And the way that we did it was we just took turns playing, building things, and then it finally came out on Xbox and we were able to play together. We actually still have a flash drive that has those Xbox files on it, and we recently went back and looked at those worlds. We've gotten a lot better at building since then. Also, the block quality and palette has updated tremendously since those days. The other big thing I want to touch on is that I have a background in geology. I studied geology formally in my higher education, and I worked as a hydrologist for the Bureau of Land Management for several years. This is perhaps the biggest influence into my Minecraft playstyle over the past 10 years. When I play survival worlds, I strive for a build style that more actively reflects the geology and morphology of the real world I go adventure in. I have a more formal understanding of rock structures and hydrologic behavior that I love implementing into my builds, though I am also incredibly influenced by the fantasy authors that I grew up reading, mostly Tolkien, because we all love Lord of the Rings, right? C.S. Lewis is another big one. Play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, so there's a lot of good fantasy influence there. Before we get started going any further, I should probably take a second to explain my Minecraft username, because I'm sure this will come up. It is Nice Rocks, which is not what my YouTube name is, but Nice Rocks is a play on words of one of my favorite types of rocks, and that is metamorphic rocks. And metamorphic rocks are a rock type that Mojang has never added into this game, and I find it so frustrating. Anyways, that rant brings us to why I have been placing all these blocks on the ground. Are you ready for Geology 101 with Professor Waters? Yes, my IRL last name is Waters, and I worked for the BLM in hydrogeology. That means I have achieved ultimate dad joke status. I made my career into one. How many people get to say that? And if you didn't laugh at that joke, I'm sorry, we can't be friends. Alright, since I started off on that metamorphic rant with the nice rocks, let's go ahead and start our conversation with what metamorphic rocks are and why Mojang doesn't have any, which is a question I can't really answer, but it does frustrate me. First up, we have one of my favorite blocks that exists in-game, and I use it for building, and it is end bricks. Mojang could literally keep all the assets of this block the same and just change the title to limestone, and I would be thrilled. Like it looks like limestone when you place them in sequence. It gives you that kind of that brick pattern there. That is just classic limestone, to the point that when we look at limestone in the field in geology, this is the symbol that we draw out in strat columns and notation as to what limestone is and how we denote it, so that we don't have to write out the word limestone every time. Like, this could just be limestone, and I would be happy. And we even have calcite, which is what limestone is made out of. Or sort of. It kind of turns into limestone. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but for Geology 101, this will suffice. We have two different types of sandstone. We've got that normal sandstone as well as the red sandstone, which you see a lot in the American Southwest, where you get those red beds. And we do have some slate, which is the closest we get to actually having a metamorphic rock. But we don't have shale, which is what slate turns into. And the actual cobbled deep slate, or the deep slate, doesn't even look like real slate. The deep slate tiles is probably the closest facsimile to what we actually have that Mojang has implemented that gives us something close to an actual metamorphic rock. And it's kind of reasonable with it being deep underground, because pressure is what forms metamorphic rocks. Pressure and heat. But pressure is a big one there. Now, I am a little perturbed by the deepest parts of the playable world not being granite, because it should be. Or if you're under the ocean, it should be gabbro. And if you don't know what gabbro is, we will go into that in a second. I digress. We have limestone, we have calcite, and the calcite shows up in the Stony Peaks biome, which I don't understand. Like, Mojang, if you want to add marble, just add marble. It's not that hard. Just do it. You don't even have to change that much. Just change where the marble spawns to where the calcite spawns, and we'll all be happy, especially the geologist. We could have some quartzite. That would be nice. That's what sandstone turns into. The actual granite block is a little bit closer of a facsimile to what quartzite looks like than it does to granite, which is ironic. I guess talking about granite, that's a good segue into our igneous rocks. In the igneous realm, Mojang has given us andesite, diorite, granite, and basalt. And it's interesting because the andesite, diorite, and granite have been in the game for about 10 years now, and basalt has been in the game for 4, so they've all been around for quite a long time. The andesite and the diorite is the big one for me because they are an actual pairing that are related to each other. Chemically, they're the same. It's the same rock. The biggest thing is that andesite is extrusive, so think volcanoes, things like Mount St. Helens and Vesuvius. The Andean mountains down in South America all produce andesite when they explode. And then you get those big balls of magma that kind of just sit underground and cool over a long period of time, and you get your intrusive rocks like diorite. So chemically, these two are the same. And one of the things I do like that Mojang did, we've got kind of a more coarse matrix, bigger appearance of what would maybe be crystals versus a finer grained in our andesite, which is something that I don't know if it was intentional. If it was, good job. If it was an absolute fluke, I guess I'll take it. But why don't we have the pairings for these two? We don't have rhyolite and we don't have gabbro, which would be rhyolite goes to granite and gabbro goes to basalt. Also, these two aren't even the same type of igneous rocks. Granite is intrusive and basalt is extrusive. It's like Hawaii. That's all of that coming out of the Mauna Kea volcano. It's all extrusive lava that cools into basalt. And then the interior stuff is all granite. Fun fact about granite, the National Park Yosemite in California, it is an intermediate rock between diorite and granite called granodiorite. And granodiorite is chemically different than granite. It's also chemically different than diorite. That's why it's just another step, another rock, a little bit more descriptive. If you hear somebody tell you Yosemite is granite, they're wrong. It's not. It's granodiorite. And I will die on that rock. No pun intended. Anyways, also, most granite is not this pink. There are alkali granites out there that appear this pink, but this would be a very uncommon sight to see. You do get some of it in kind of like central Colorado if you know where the Royal Gorge is, or Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak granite is also an alkali granite, and it very much has this really pink hue. But most granite is not like that, and I do kind of have beef with that. Like, just take some of the granite out, or make this a little bit more pink, something in between. I would be happy. Also, Mojang, can we add some metamorphic rocks? Because we got all this stuff. We got all this stuff. But what about the stuff in between those things? Or like the third part of the triangle? Like I just want more rocks. And if we had more rocks, the way that the metamorphic rocks look, they end up looking a little bit more striated and textured, and you would get these like really cool striation patterns in them, and I think it would just be an overall good look for building as well as doing terraforming projects. Like, can you imagine this, but just in one block? That would look amazing. I would go for that. Just please give us some. Say it with me. Nice rocks. Yeah, you get the point of the joke now, because they're nice. No, okay. Well, I will make that joke again, I promise. So if you don't get it, don't worry. It'll reappear. It'll be a common theme. Anyways, moving on. Before we really get into my biggest beef in the game with world generation, I've got one last block that I really want to touch on, or I guess it's kind of its own generation theme, is the geode. The geode in Minecraft is just one of the most perplexing things to me. I don't understand. Like, I get the idea. Like, we added another pretty block. Like, look at this stuff. It's sparkly. It looks fantastic in this shader pack. Matches my suit. I mean, anything that matches your suit, it's got to be a good block. But did nobody pick up a geology book or watch like a YouTube video before they implemented this block? It makes me upset in a way that probably would only upset a geologist. But let me explain. When the geodes form naturally in Minecraft, in their world generation, we get a layer of some smooth basalt, followed by some, I got that block, calcite, and then amethyst. If you don't understand why this is so frustrating, then allow me to explain that basalt and amethyst are mutually exclusive in their formation. You cannot have one next to the other, barring a like wild folding event that places the two next to each other through tectonic processes. It just doesn't happen. The biggest thing here is maybe the calcite and the basalt, because there is going to be some calcium in here, which is what calcite is made up of. You'll get some crossover and you might get some calcite deposits, but the amethyst would never show up. The big thing here is that amethyst is just made out of silica, and basalt is defined as being very low in silica in its composition, and the amethyst is just straight silica. Basically, there is no quartz inside of the basalt. And a fun fact about the amethyst is because it's silica, it is literally just quartz that has contaminants of iron in it, which turns it purple. Garnets are actually the same thing, but garnets are metamorphic, but it's still just silica, and the iron actually turns it red. It's actually kind of frustrating. Iron, chemical components and things are not good for color, are not good for identifying rocks, because iron is the reason amethyst is purple, and iron is the reason garnet is red, and iron is the reason emeralds are green. Color doesn't do much for us, which is a little frustrating when you get further into geology, but it's not the end of the world. We've got better tools like x-rays. You can use an x-ray to identify rocks. Isn't that cool? Moving on to my favorite topic, we have hydrology, and well, more like sedimentology, hydrology, looking at the whole water and earth systems. And this is where I've probably got the most beef, but the blocks are actually good. We have had most of these blocks since, I guess half of them, since our very first iteration of Minecraft. And where they load in, it kind of makes sense. Like the clay is in the water. Not all clay is found in water, but like I get where they're going. Like the dirt is found on top of the ground. The sand is found where the dirt would be breaking down. The gravel is found in, well, I actually don't understand the underground gravel, but that's a whole other issue. My big issue is where and how this stuff generates, and that is where my build style is going to come in. Is I want to have more accurate sedimentology and morphology surrounding whatever it is I build, which means I'm going to do a lot of terraforming and probably a lot of off-camera digging. Our riparian generation in Minecraft is just lacking. I would love to see more cross-section filtering of grain size, maybe put like cut banks and point bars into the rivers, have better lentic systems. Lentic systems are just lakes. They're still bodies of water. Swamps are considered lentic systems. Evaporite plains. It would just be nice to see something that's a little bit more makes sense. But dripstone caves. Dripstone caves should have limestone. That's how caves form. It's limestone. It's like there's a couple of exceptions out there, but it's just limestone. Like just take the endstone block, rename it, and let's put this in the dripstone caves, and I would be happy. And maybe that's what the calcite generates, and then we put the marble in the stony peaks. Anyways, this is where I'm going to be focusing my Let's Play build series for this Minecraft, because we have this really fine sediment all the way through a coarse sediment. And over the past couple of years, we've added in a couple of additional blocks, like our muds and our rooted dirt and coarse dirt, which gives us a really good texture array that I am going to implement into making a more accurate world. And it'll be a good time and fun. I'll probably die a lot, and I'll, lose diamonds and maybe try to get netherite, and it'll just be a good time altogether. And we're going to do it all in survival. That is going to be what is driving the Let's Play series for Minecraft. It is going to be my formal understanding and knowledge of sedimentology and geomorphology. Follow me along as I take you on an adventure, and maybe we'll learn some things about rocks. I guarantee you'll also hear a couple more bad jokes. Like think about the metamorphic rocks. If we could just add schist, think about all the schisty jokes there would be. Or nice, all the nice puns I could make. It's gonna be a good time. Anyways, I hope you all get outside, see the sun, feel the earth, and go on an adventure. We'll see you next time.